It's hard to visualize exactly how tight this engine fits to the firewall until you get it up here. I had it on that engine stand, and that didn't give a true representation of it. It stuck out there probably 2 inches or 3 inches farther than what it does on this airframe actually when it's here. But I kept checking. I wanted to make sure I got everything lined up in here so that everything would clear when I put it all together. And one of the things I was worried about was this can here, this capacitor for the noise suppressant on the generator system. And I measured that and checked it and did a whole bunch of stuff on it and figured that this was a good place for it right here. But that was wrong. I got this on here now and just tried it out, and here's the oil filter, fits right here, and the oil filter just will not quite fit on there. So we're going to have to do a little bit of modification on that can there, move it over a little ways, give a little bit more room in there for that oil filter so we can get it on, so I can get it on there. And that's too bad too, because I had all the holes drilled. I've got the voltage regulator mounted up here, and this can is actually mounted up to the voltage regulator. It worked just perfect like that, but that's not going to work in practice. It worked good in theory, but it's not going to work in practice. So I'll have to do something about that. That's one of the things I have to change. I got that capacitor reattached to the firewall. Where it was here mounted up to the voltage regulator, it was real nice and neat, but it wouldn't allow the oil filter to fit on there. Just not enough clearance for the oil filter to fit on there. So I had to move it out a little bit. When I set that up, I made a mock-up of it. I put a template on there and measured everything back and thought I had plenty of clearance, but obviously I didn't. It was just almost enough. That oil filter just almost fit in there, but I couldn't quite get it to start on the threads there. So I had to move the capacitor. I moved it out, marked some holes for it, and then I had to crawl underneath there and check it out in there and make sure that when I punched holes in there, when I drilled the holes in the firewall, that it wasn't going to hit anything. Most everything is lined up along this tube here. And there's a tube that runs between this engine mount attach point here and across the one on the other side, and almost all the wiring and everything is all tied into it, into bundles and stuff, so there's really nothing up this high. But it was a pain to get to. Well, I marked the holes and I drilled them, but it was a pain to get in there to get back the nuts on the back of them, because it's up in there tight on that firewall underneath everything, all the wiring and everything else. It couldn't get in there. I finally had to drop the defroster tube off of the cabin heater. And once I did that, then I was able to get in there and pull that insulation panel back away from the firewall and get on those screws. I had to get my wife out here because she couldn't turn the screws from this end, and I couldn't turn the nuts from inside. I just didn't have enough room, so I had to come out here and screw the screws in with a screwdriver while she held it from the other side with a wrench. And we got that all on there and all done, and I checked it out, and the oil filter clears there now, so that's good. Oh, I just went underneath there again and checked everything out and hooked that defroster hose back up. Everything was sure a heck of a lot nicer to work on before I put that boot cowl on there. I think that's the last time we'll have to go in there now. So that's one more thing that's accomplished, although that wasn't on the list. It is done.